Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Specifically Devoid podcast. Now, if you watched last week's episode, you would know that Micah recently had to re-audition for his role in the Specifically Devoid podcast because of his appearance on the MGB Wrestling podcast. Well, we weren't going to make the other auditions public, but recently, due to his continued ignorance of my requests and appearing on the Wrestling on the Rocks podcast recently, we've decided to make some of the other auditions public as well. So, without further ado, I'd love to introduce our very own PWO's own James. James, how are you doing today?
Oh, I got to tell you, I am fantastic today. I got off work. I worked earlier, like 10 to 3. I came back and I relaxed. And I got to tell you what happened was I don't know if any of your audience has experienced this, um, but I came back from work, right? And I lied on my bed and I watched YouTube videos for about an hour. And I was not planning on going to bed, but I just sort of put my head on the pillow and it was 5, and then I woke up and it was 6:45. And I was like, oh, I guess that was a nap.
All right, so I had a few questions I asked Micah at the beginning of his interview, so I've got to ask you the same questions. Name?
Uh, Yummy Yames.
Yummy Yames?
Yes.
Gotcha. Um, your A. This is so stupid. I'm gonna fucking
Sounds like a
audition
job
you? Are you
application.
kidding me? Audition you like this with stupid fucking questions in a notebook? God
What
no.
you gonna ask for my address next? The last 4 digits of my social.
I don't need any prepared stuff. Look, I'll still try to stick to the same stuff I did with Micah. So here, how about for a minute? Let's have you talk about Scott Hall. Go ahead, 1 minute, free
Scott
reign.
Hall. What a legend, dude. So Scott Hall started off the NWA, went to WWF first and became Razor Ramon, which even Scott says himself he just ripped off from Scarface, and Vince never watched Scarface, so he had no clue it was just a movie character. Uh, you know, balls out as Razor Ramon, has the match at WrestleMania 10 featuring Shawn Michaels on VHS,
World
and
famous ladder match, yes.
the ladder match. Then decides to change the wrestling landscape with his buddy Kevin Nash, jumps to WCW, says, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." And then we figured out why he was there. And he stayed there for a few years before WCW inevitably collapsed on itself because it had too many people in the NWO. Then,
Awesome. That was your timer for your 1 minute.
yeah.
Wow, I did not know you could talk about Scott Hall for that long.
And you know what's funny is that I think that's a really good point to cut off when it comes to Scott Hall's career.
Yeah, and then he retired and lived happily ever after. The end.
Yeah, nothing bad ever happened to Scott.
All right, so we should move into the let's actually talk portion of the of the interview, which is let's
Yes.
just record a podcast.
Yeah, I will be shocked if people are still here after that. So if you're still here, thank you. We will reward you with some digestible content.
We'll see how many more people watch this episode of both of us on this podcast than any of the episodes of our actual podcast over at PWO Cast on YouTube and anywhere you can find a podcast. Haha. I get
Yeah,
the plug.
I was gonna say like I might start billing Micah for how much I'm on here.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like somebody should be charging you. Should be
Yeah.
paying you, I mean. Actually, no, someone should be charging. You have to pay to be on our podcast now.
Yes, yes, someone should be sending me a bill to come on here.
Yes. This is a privilege for you, not for us.
Yeah.
This is a boost for you. We couldn't give a crap either way.
You know what? I will pay you guys an exposure. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna charge you an exposure.
I'll put this all over my social media and tell my friends.
We can't give anybody the power to think that works. We can't give anybody the power to just be like, oh, they did it. That means it works, right? Can you imagine
Whoa,
if
you
like
posted about us. That's better than money.
can you imagine if Jobs paid an exposure?
Oh,
Like you flip burgers for 10 hours a day at McDonald's and we'll reward you by sharing your social media posts.
exact. And you know, there's probably a side of the world that lives that way right now. The influencers.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Am I an influencer? Do I count? I have
Um,
8 YouTube followers.
I was gonna say I would consider you a part-time influencer.
Oh great, I'm a freaking part-timer taking someone else's spot.
You know, you haven't reached full time yet. We got to wait for the double digits to kick in, and
Yeah.
then, you know, we'll consider a full time position. But if you can count the amount of subscribers you have on your hands, yeah, sorry.
Well, it's a good thing I never learned how to count to begin with.
The school systems in your state are so inferior.
I'm so uneducated. That's what it's got to be, right? I'm just so uneducated, as the last person I interviewed so nicely told me.
You are the most uneducated interviewer I've ever come across.
Thank you. And I take that as a badge of honor, honestly. To be the dumbest person interviewing other people, it's not a skill as much as it is a natural born talent. And I think I learned how to have so much naturally born talent in me.
To be the most anything is considered an honor in my book.
It's true. There's probably someone out there who does actually consider themselves the stupidest person in podcasting with pride. And I hope that person's having a good day. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, I hope so. Because, you know, it's not going to be for long. You're taking that title tomorrow.
Yeah, they don't know I exist yet. Before they know it, I'm gonna be sitting up there, the most uneducated person in podcasting.
Once they become the second most uneducated person in podcasting, you know, who knows what'll happen.
Yeah, no one remembers second place.
Hey, the scariest thing in this world is a man with nothing to lose.
It's true. What do you
Oh,
think the worst place, actually, is to place in a race? Like,
ooh,
because sometimes you can also be like, yeah, I was last. Take those irony points. But what's the actual
definitely
worst?
second to last.
You think second to last?
Because you're not last, so you can't make jokes that you were the worst one there. But then you just weren't close to winning.
I mean, if you're second to last, you could still make jokes like, "Poof, better luck next time," right? But like, say it's an 8-person race, right? Who
Yeah,
you say you come in fifth? Who gives a shit?
yeah.
No one. See, people always say no one wants to be second place. No one wants to be fifth place because fifth place isn't even remembered.
Yeah. I mean, you look back at that race. Hey, second place, you still get a medal. You
Yeah.
still, it's still an accomplishment for your country.
Even third place, you still get a medal. It's definitely metal. It's made out of metal.
Sometimes even fourth place gets to stand next to the platform.
Yeah, but fifth place? Fifth place gets to relish that they're not in the bottom three, I guess. But they're
Yeah.
not in the top four.
I guess fifth place gets to go home and be like, hey, I wasn't that bad.
Check out this guy.
He came in sixth.
Oh my gosh. That's why I always try to come in first. I'm just a winner in life naturally, so I always try to come in first place. Do you think there's anybody who tries not to?
I'm someone who tries not to do anything.
It's easier that way.
It is, you know.
That was a John Mulaney thing, right? There's this. It's so easy not to do something.
You know, John Mulaney, I have to bring it up. I mean, so viewers, if you don't know what's been going on with John Mulaney, because I just talked about it with someone a couple months back and they had no idea. So John Mulaney over the pandemic had to go back into rehab for some of the addictions he's known for that he talks about in his set, and it ended in him, separating with his wife. And it sounds like it wasn't amicable because in her statement she said, John has chosen to, forgo this marriage or whatever. And it was kind of sad, but it brings about the question: who keeps Petunia?
Oh my gosh, who does? Does John, because that's the dog he talks about in his comedy?
I'll be honest, I was rooting for his wife to keep Petunia.
Now hold up. Not completely change the topic of the. Say John Mulaney again.
John Mulaney.
No, say it the way you said it before.
What? How did I say it before?
You said
John Mulaney.
Mulaney is what you said.
John Mulaney.
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 Mul.
Mulaney.
Oh my gosh. Can someone, if there's anyone who knows Photoshop in our audience, can you Photoshop like a cow suit onto John Mulaney and send it to us, please?
Or could someone just Photoshop a cow like onto my face as I say moo?
Oh, that's funny.
Yes.
How do you feel when people point out when you say things differently? Because I just did that to you and realized that I don't like it when people do that to me.
I'm not terribly offended by it because I'm one that, see, the way I like to think of it, I don't think I'm narcissistic enough that the way I pronounce things is always right. I feel like there's still room if someone else pronounces something, it could be considered right. But what I won't do is change how I pronounce things. At this point, at the age I'm at, I'm just kind of locked in with what I say.
You're 21. At this point, I think you're allowed to be stubborn about how you say words.
At this point, can I just start complaining about how good it was in the 2000s?
Oh my god. So I work at a and
Yeah.
today at camp, I mentioned a watch, and a kid said to me in the straightest of faces, "What's that?" A watch. Do you know how old I felt when a child told me they didn't know what a watch was?
Well, I'm trying to think of how I would explain that to a child.
It's a clock on your wrist. End of
Like,
sentence.
hey, you know the phones, these things that you hold. Yeah, it's like that, but on your wrist.
What if your phone was just this part? That's what it
if
is.
you
It's if your phone was just this part.
if it was just that tiny little square and it
And
was on your wrist, that's a watch.
the one thing I hate is I don't think they teach kids how to read time anymore
They don't
either.
teach you how to read clocks.
It's infuriating because I will be standing at the snack bar at the place that I work, which there's a clock right above the snack bar. And while I am working, a kid will come up to me and say, "What time is it?" To which I will point at the clock and they'll look at me in utter confusion.
The other thing too is, see, and I still haven't figured out which kids actually don't know how to read the clock and which kids only say they don't know how to read the clock so they can pull out their phone every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am going to make a point when I become a teacher to have a 5 minute segment on how to read a clock.
Yeah. It literally, like, at the point where you hit, what grade is it? They start doing your multiplication tables? Fifth?
Ooh, I want to say that was fourth for us.
Once you get to fourth or fifth grade, you know your multiplication tables. So you know what each of those 12 numbers times 5 is.
Yes.
If you should be able to read a clock by the time you're out of fifth grade, I think.
Yes.
If you know all that.
You should be taught how to read a clock when you're in first or second grade.
And at some point, with all the knowledge that you have, if you weren't taught it, by like 10th grade, you should be able to make an educated guess, right?
If you don't know how to read the big hand, that's okay. Just look at the little one, and the number that's near. That's the hour.
Right. But even like educated guess, you could be like, oh, well, 60 minutes in a day. It's 12 numbers there. Each tick, there's 60 ticks. Huh. How does this work?
I would so love it if someone took that last clip out of context where you said, "So there's 60 minutes in a day."
Is this the clip of me explaining how time works to you?
If this was like on Twitch and we had an audience and people actually made clips of humorous segments.
Yo, clip this. Clip this right here.
Make a clip of us talking about us making clips.
If you send me, if you are anybody other than Micah and you're watching this and you send me a clip of that exact moment, I will no cap send you $50. Actually, a little cap. I don't have that much money.
I will not send you money, but I will piggyback on that. If you are not Micah and you send either Derrick or myself a clip, I will pay you in exposure. You can come on next podcast.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that, like at the beginning, because you said I don't have money, but you will be retweeted on the PWO cast Twitter if you clip this clip.
With its whole 6 followers.
Actually, I will tell you, I'm pretty sure we have 37 off the top of my head is what I think our number is. I can tell you for certain right now that our number is in fact 39.
Wow.
On Twitter.
No kidding.
And like 7 on YouTube.
Making it big, huh?
Yeah. Where this is exposure for us, really.
Yeah.
Honestly, this whole audition of yours could just be us plugging the PWO cast for 20 minutes.
Exactly. It could. It could. We could totally do like a curb your enthusiasm kind of thing with this, like where we have 2 different podcasts and they're just kind of like one podcast is us being us, but then the other podcast is us being fictional versions of ourselves.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like such a good idea. I love it, and I can't do that to myself.
I wouldn't be able to keep up.
I wouldn't be able to keep up. It'd be another thing I'm adding to my plate. I can't do that to myself. That'd be rude of me.
It's like, you know how in the very early days of Curb, there's that one bit that Larry does with Jason Alexander where he pitches like Jason Alexander's life.
Yes.
It's like I come to myself and I'm like, so picture this. You're a struggling music student going into your last year of music school, and you have to start a podcast as a way to cope with the stress from school. Oh, what a revolutionary idea.
A podcast? No way. Well, I should probably ask you a few more of these actual interview questions so I don't seem like I'm favoring you.
Yeah.
So, this one here, I'm going to give you something for us to disagree about,
Okay.
and we're just going to have to try to disagree about it. The thing I have for us to disagree about, I'll be on the positive, you'll be on the negative. The NWO is not as good as the Pink World Order.
So I have to try to combat that or support
Yes, combat that. That's
Okay.
my statement. We're arguing now.
that? Okay. The NWO is not as good as the Pink World Order. Okay.
Not as good as the Pink World Order. If I ask you something that you can't, you can cut that. If I ask you something you can't answer, you can always just say I can't answer that question.
I can always plead the fifth. I can plead the fifth.
So
I
again,
hope there's some Chappelle Show fans out there that understood that
there's definitely some Chappelle Show fans out there somewhere.
somewhere.
I don't
Over
know
the
if I don't know if any of them listened to two white guys talk about the thing they like for 20 minutes podcast.
Yeah. So tell me what is this like the AP test, like now do I have 10 minutes to plan out my argument on a piece of paper with
Now-
dashes and stuff?
Nah, you gotta come up with this on the fly.
All right, let's come up with this on the spot. So, the NWO, the idea that the NWO is not as good as the Pink World Order is blasphemy. It's blasphemy, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you got three of the top wrestling stars in the world in Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan going up against two white guys from New England.
Hey,
You tell me who wins that.
hey, there's a lot more members of the PWO now.
That
We are at 4 white guys from New England. and some friends from Kentucky.
yes.
And
Some
if he responds to our messages, and OJ Simpson.
when did this take place?
Oh, we just like to message OJ.
Oh, you know.
We want him on the podcast still. We're always trying to get OJ on the podcast.
Hey, Derrick, who are you texting on the job here at our prestigious, place? Oh, nobody, just OJ Simpson.
I think one time I literally sent an OJ message during like an orientation meeting at college or like an RA meeting or something.
Can you imagine? They're just like diary entries like, hey OJ, hope you're doing well. Just had my first orientation meeting today.
Like literally though, like they're so formal for a guy who allegedly killed those people.
Allegedly.
Well, you did a great job arguing. I know it must have been hard since it was something that you definitely didn't believe.
Yes. Yeah, it was tough. That's why I kept it at one statement. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I could have come up with another reason that they're better than that.
No. And I have to ask you one more question.
Oh,
We just
ask
ask.
as many as you want.
We ask everybody who appears in our podcast this, and you were a judge on the trial for this, but I don't think we've ever gotten your official opinion. Sunny D, thoughts?
Sunny D, and I am guessing you're alluring to the question of if it is orange juice.
No, just if you like it, if it's good.
So Sunny D, I never really had it as a kid. I mean, I was into more like Tropicana, orange juice if I wanted orange juice. But Sunny D, it's not terrible. Like I don't write it off. And if I was offered a Sunny D, I would accept it. That's the ultimate bar of like passability. Like I will probably never go out of my way to buy a Sunny D at a supermarket, but if someone has drinks in the fridge and all I see is like contaminated water and Sunny D, I wouldn't hesitate to pick up the Sunny D.
Is there an actual beverage that you would still take Sunny D before?
That I would take Sunny D before. Oh,
Yeah. Like
Prob-
what beverages would you specifically be like, I'd rather have a Sunny D?
anything carbonated. I don't like carbonation. People are shocked, but it's like the only thing I can equate it to, right? Is like how when you drink alcohol, you feel that burn in the back of your throat and it like hurts like when you take a shot.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's kind of the pain I feel when I have a carbonated drink and there's all that fizz in my mouth.
Right.
It hurts. It's not like a fun sensation for me.
Right.
Like I'm just in pain the whole time I'm trying to just have a drink. I will always take something non-carbonated over something carbonated.
Interesting. Well, James, thank you for auditioning for the Specifically Devoid podcast. You should have a response in your email within 1 to 2 business months.
Yes. If my email doesn't work, just send it to my MySpace.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work, I'll just tell you in an episode of the PWO cast, which you can find over at PWO cast on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube.
Yes. Thank you.
But for now, as Micah says, actually he's not here. That saying is dumb. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. That's right, let's do it. Bam.